In the quiet suburbs of our towns, behind neat garden fences, lace curtains, live the people who built our communities. They are our parents, our grandparents, our neighbors. They've lived lives filled with experience, wisdom, and a certain kind of trust that belongs to a different era. This trust, once a cornerstone of society, is now sadly a vulnerability. It's being exploited by a new kind of predator, one who doesn't break down doors but instead slips in through the telephone line. They use words as their weapons, kindness as their camouflage, and, well, they leave behind a trail of financial ruin and shattered confidence. It's a crime that is often invisible, suffered in silence. We often think of crime as something loud, something physically violent, a smashed window, a stolen car. But this is different. This is a quiet betrayal. It preys on the innate decency of people, particularly the elderly, who were raised to be helpful, to believe what they are told by figures of authority. The scammers understand this psychology perfectly. They know that a polite, professional-sounding voice can open doors that a crowbar never could. They target those who may be living alone, perhaps a little isolated, and who, honestly, see a helpful call as a welcome interaction rather than a threat. This makes the eventual discovery of the scam all the more devastating. In Wallington, a peaceful pocket of Geelong, an 87-year-old woman was going about her day. Her life was one of routine, of quiet comfort built over decades. The phone rang, as it often does. On the other end was a man's voice. It was clear, professional, and sounded reassuringly official. He said he was from her telecommunications company, one of the big ones everyone knows. He used a name that inspired confidence. He explained that there was a problem with her account, a security issue that needed immediate attention. He spoke with a sense of urgency, but it was a calm urgency, designed not to panic her, but to make her feel that she was in capable hands. The woman listened carefully. She was from a generation that respects authority and trusts in systems. A man from the phone company calling to help? That seemed perfectly reasonable. He told her that her bank cards had been compromised through her phone line and that the company needed to issue new, more secure ones right away. He was so very helpful, so patient in his explanation. He said a technician was already in her area and could sort it all out for her today. It would be no trouble at all. He just needed her cooperation to ensure her money remained safe. He gave her simple instructions, presented as a standard security protocol. She was to gather her bank cards, all of them to be safe, and her PINs. He explained that the new cards would need to be activated with the same numbers for a seamless transition. To make the process fast and secure, she was to place the cards inside an envelope and leave them in her letterbox. A trusted company courier, he said, would collect them within the hour. The courier had a special device to scan the old cards and deactivate them permanently before the new ones were issued. It all sounded so logical, so official. Trusting his instructions completely, the woman did as she was told. She carefully wrote down her PINs on a piece of paper, just as he'd instructed for the technician. She placed her bank cards and the paper into an envelope. She walked down her familiar garden path to the letterbox at the edge of her property, a place she'd checked for mail thousands of times before. She slipped the envelope inside and closed the little metal door. She felt a sense of relief. A problem she didn't even know she had was being solved for her, and she hadn't even had to leave her home. It seemed so wonderfully efficient. The next day, a small nagging feeling of doubt began to surface. The promised new cards had not arrived. The technician had not called back to confirm the job was complete. The seamless efficiency she had been promised had dissolved into a disquieting silence. A call to her bank was all it took for her world to unravel. The bank employee on the other end of the line confirmed her worst fears. There was no security alert. Her bank had not been in contact. There had been unusual activity on her accounts. Large sums of money had been withdrawn from ATMs. Her cards had been used for purchases. The shock was immediate and physical. A cold dread washed over her as the reality of the situation sank in. The helpful man on the phone, the trusted courier, were liars. They were thieves. They had not been helping her. They had been robbing her. She had willingly handed over the keys to her financial life. The heartbreaking story of the 87-year-old woman from Wallington was not an isolated incident. Reports were coming in from across the Geelong region and even beyond. The investigation revealed a methodical operation that had netted the criminals a significant amount of money stolen from those who could least afford to lose it. When the two men were finally arrested, they were charged with an astonishing 71 separate offenses. Understanding how these scams work is honestly the best way to protect yourself and your loved ones. They will pretend to be from a well-known, trusted organization. This could be your bank, a government agency like the tax office, your phone or internet provider, even the police. The second step is to create a problem that needs to be solved urgently. They use fear and urgency to rush you. The third and most crucial step is to ask you to do something that a real company would never ask you to do. This is the big red flag. Preventing these scams from succeeding is a responsibility that falls on all of us. Families, friends, and really the wider community. It's vital to talk to the older people in our lives about these dangers, but to do so with patience and without being patronizing. A single memorable rule can be incredibly effective. Your bank or the police will never ever ask you to move money or give them your card or PIN. By fostering a culture of vigilance and mutual support, we make our communities harder targets for these criminals. For the 87-year-old woman in Wallington and for every other victim of these heartless scams, the road to recovery can be long. The financial loss is a heavy blow, but the emotional wounds often cut deeper. Recovering a sense of trust in the world and in oneself is a difficult journey. No one should have to make it alone. Support is available. ID care, various victim support services, expert guidance, and a compassionate ear. The arrest of the two men brings a measure of justice, a powerful deterrent. It shows these crimes are taken seriously and that the criminals can and will be caught. Report every scam, even if it's small, even if it's embarrassing. Every report is a piece of a larger puzzle. Help police identify patterns, connect cases, bring perpetrators to justice, protect countless others from falling victim. A painful lesson, but a call to action. Raise awareness, have difficult conversations, foster community vigilance and care. Build a firewall of human connection, stand together, support the victims, say with one voice, "You are not welcome here. Our trust is not for you to steal."